What's up, everybody? It's your favorite scientist, favorite nerd. Today we are looking at Hasbro Generations Deluxe Class Jhiaxus. I kind of like him. I really do. He is a Hasbro Deluxe. You know, there's nothing new under the sun there, but he's fun. And he's 14 bucks, and he feels like a good 14 bucks. Unlike a lot of other 14 bucks toys from Hasbro where I don't feel like they're a good 14 bucks. And some that are more than 14 bucks that I don't feel like are worth what I paid for them. Some of them. Like this one, maybe. Like all that. Listen. I like this guy. He's not setting the world on fire or anything, but I like him. It's typical Hasbro plastic. We got these two guns with nothing on them, just single mold, single filled plastic guns, and they're identical. Very, very limited paint apps. We got a few on the head that are done really well, and then we have some on the jet. Mine are really shoddy kind of here, and outside of that, there's not much. All this orange is orange, all this gray is gray, all that black is black, and that is an extra piece. Like, it's a separate piece of plastic, and it's very limited in the paint department, which is terrible. But it has this gimmicky thing of nonsense that hangs off its back that I don't care for, but to see it in action, there you go, there's that. And then they just load back in, and they're just pressure triggered. They work fine. I could have done without. I don't need this in my life. It's, Generations are supposed to be for the adult collector, and I don't think the adult collector needs firing missiles on toys. I could be wrong about that. I don't. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm strange. Head, we have a neck flap that's on a hinge, which doesn't really lock into place properly, but it is there. You can put these up too, I guess, and have it more mainline, but he does have these up here, doesn't he? I can't remember. And it's on a swivel here as well. And then we have a hinge here and a swivel here. So that's a fair amount of articulation. And it's not a ball joint on a shoulder, which is always nice for me. And then we have a hinged elbow, which gets you 90 degrees, maybe a little over. And then we have the wrist that doesn't swivel, but it does turn in a bit if you wanted to do that number. No waist swivel. I'm not sure if this, you can kind of plug that in, there a little bit, but that's one thing I don't like about this toy. I mean, it's the Starscream repaint, so I guess they had to do what they had to do, but like this gap in there is kind of goofy, and I mean, whatever. It is what it is, I suppose. It's kind of a defeatist attitude, though. It is what it is. Not a big fan. Do you know what I'm saying?
You realize that having alcohol before 10 a.m. might be a sign of a problem.
It is what it is.
Scully, if you keep eating that way, you're gonna have heart complications.
No. It is what it is.
Hey dude, if you don't get off the couch, you're never gonna get a job.
It is what it is. Why not make it is what it is? Make something out of it. Anyway, wings, you get a little up and down. If you have these up, then they're on a ball joint, so you can get them, like that. Ball jointed hips, which I hate. Thigh swivel. Knees get you way more than 90 degrees due to transformation. Ankle hinge, which gets you a tilt, and then we have a little bit of a spur tilt for stabilization. This is hollow as my mother's heart, and so that's less than favorable, but it's Hasbro. What are you gonna do? I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying it's 14 bucks, and they included. I would have rather them not included this. And maybe had one flap that hinged over, but oh well. So what do you say we get them transformed? It's a simple but fun transformation. Hands in, and then you kind of pull this up and out, and the head will go down. Get the wings situated. Get the shoulder situated. These you can leave, the ball joints leave as is, and rotate the foot up and collapse the foot as you do it, and that'll put everything in the right place. So ball joint as it is, swivel the thigh, close the feet, and it'll get you what you want. And these don't really tab together there, but they line up, so you kind of did it right. This comes down and pegs in, which kind of locks it all in. And, you know, there you have them. And, you know, it's simple, but it's enjoyable. You know, like you know, every now and then a super simple transformation is not the worst thing that could ever happen. You know, I think it's fun. These landing gear come down. And then you can sit him. And he sits just fine. I would have rather them not have done the landing gear and included flaps of plastic that folded over that hollowness in the back, but I just may be spoiled with more expensive toys. But this is good, and the transformation is enjoyable, and it's fun, and the jet looks okay. It doesn't look proper for Jhiaxus. You know, I don't think Jhiaxus should look like this in alt form. But for what they try to do, I don't think it was terrible. You know, the transformation's a lot more solid than this thing. You know, it works a lot better. So I don't really have any, you know, any real complaints, per se, outside of, you know, what I already knew. Like, I knew the mold wasn't going to look like Jhiaxus in the sense of how I want Jhiaxus to look. I knew it was going to be Hasbro plastic. I knew that the transformation was going to be relatively simple. I knew there was going to be hollow points. So, like, I knew all these things were going to happen. And inside of that, what they managed to do is pretty solid. So, cheers. So, there he is next to Windblade. So, just about the same size as Windblade, which, you know, a little bit taller. He's about the same size as Hoist, I guess. And that just, you know, size-wise, it just seems really wrong to me. That's, you know, that's one of the drawbacks of using that mold. So the downside is that the mold doesn't really fit the character well. The head sculpt is nice, and I would have liked a nicer body for it to go on. The head sculpt itself, if it was upsized to a Voyager, you know, like the wings kind of look kind of right too, if it was upsized. You know, I wish that they would do, in terms of Hasbro, I wish Hasbro would do like what they're doing with upsizing the Legends to more of a Deluxe class. I wish they'd upsize some of these Deluxes to more of a Voyager class. You know, if this was a Voyager and got a little bit more paint detail and, you know, a little bit more bells and whistles, a flap to cover up some of the hollowness, a remolding of the front part of the jet, like this could have been a really nice Jhiaxus. It's just, it's kind of like fitting a round peg into a square hole. It just doesn't lend itself well. Now, I know the comics tried to do it, but, you know, that all seemed forced, and it just felt very unnatural to me. But for all that, he's still enjoyable, and he's still fun to transform, and both modes work kind of well, and it's not really hindered by anything. And, you know, for $14, I felt like I got my bang for my buck, even though he'll never make it to my proper shelves, like, ever. You know, he'll sit in the Island of Misfit Toys his entire shelf life with me. I still don't feel edged out of my purchase. If you were a Starscream Armada fan, that Starscream Armada mold probably really worked well for you. I wasn't, so I didn't pick it up. But that's me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.